Okay, so today we will talk about model making, as I said, in general, what it is, the materials used, and the different types. This is what we will focus on. So, model making, what is the purpose of it? What is the reason for making models in design? Okay? It is to show someone what something will look like in 3D. So, it's not enough sometimes just to have drawings. The drawings are great, they have their purpose, but often in design we need to see something in 3D as a 3D object, okay, for different reasons. We will talk about this today. Now these models, they can be made one-to-one scale, their real size, or they can be made smaller or larger than the original. Again, it depends on what is the purpose of this model. For what are you making? And what are you making? Like, for example, if you're designing a house or an interior even, it's kind of difficult to make a model one-to-one scale, the real size. So usually they are made smaller. Okay? So it depends on what the model represents. Here we can see a few model examples. Just in general, models being made. Some look very realistic, some look a bit basic. So again, it depends on the purpose of the model. Now, materials for making models. We have a lot of materials, a lot of choices that you can use. The choice of the material, okay, depends on, again, the purpose of the model. What is the reason for making this model, okay? And we will see later in more detail. So what is the reason for me to make this model? This can help me choose the correct materials. What does the model represent? What does it show? What am I modeling? Okay? This can also influence the type of material to choose. What is suitable for the project? Also, this can influence the materials we choose, and sometimes what the model maker, which is the designer, likes using. So all of this can play a role in the choice of material. Sometimes the teacher himself will tell you, you are allowed to use only this material. If you are free to choose, then you have to consider all of these and choose the best material for the type of model you are making. Now, the most common ones that are used most of the time are paper, cardboards. Now, there are different types of paper, cardboards, different thicknesses, different colors, different... So, but paper, cardboard, it is all in the paper. It's all paper. And also we have foam board. Foam board is like those you use for, sticking on posters. I don't have an example. This is a foam board. So you have paper from this side, and a foam in the middle. You use this for sticking on posters. So, foam board. We have also polystyrene foam. This is a type of foam, like this one here. Okay? This is a type of foam that can be used. There is also clay. You can use clay for model making. And so these are the most common ones. Okay, here paper, cardboard, foam board, and polystyrene foam. The others depends on the project, it depends on the need. So we have like acrylic, which is a plastic. We can use wood, metal, textiles, and so on. Okay, depends on what you are making. All the models, before you make any model in a project, you have to have drawings. Now, depending on what kind of model we're making, if it's just a quick model for me to understand the shape of something, maybe you just need sketches. After the sketches, you can make quickly a few models to understand the shape, and then move on. If you want to make more detailed models, more correct models, you will need engineering drawings. So if I want to build something according to its correct size, according to scale, I need to have engineering drawings ready, which are what? The orthographic, multi-view, isometric, all of these, and other drawings that are necessary. Okay? CAD drawings are sometimes needed. These are done on AutoCAD, for example, or other 3D programs. This is for the final stages. So when you know this is the design I want, and you can use, basically, you can place it inside a CAD program and then build a model according to it. So sketches, engineering drawings, CAD drawings, or a combination of all of these are needed before the model the model making stage can start. Now let us see at some of the materials. Like we said, paper and cardboard are very common materials to use in model making. So let's see some examples. Now, paper and cardboard, you can use it for very simple models, not very detailed, not very accurate. Or you can use it for very, very accurate models, very detailed, realistic looking. So again, it depends on the purpose. But paper is cheap to use. It's in general, cardboard, paper are more cheap to be used. It's easy to deal with. You can put the paper on the table, cut it, and deal with it. So it's not like dealing with metal, with plastic, with this kind of material. So it's easy to use and not expensive. And you can make pretty detailed models out of paper. If you know how to deal with the paper and you experiment well, you can make very good looking models. Now paper can be very thin, or we have cardboards, okay, that can be thicker. It depends what you are making. Okay? If you're making a big object that needs to be a little strong, maybe it's a good idea to use cardboard, not paper. If you're building something very small, a very small model, a more thin paper or cardboard can be used. So again, it depends on the size. But paper and cardboard are very common materials to be used. Look at this shape, for example, here, what we have. Cardboard, very cheap material used to make the model. As you can see, it's not detailed, but it shows the shape. So it can show the size, it can show the shape. I can put my hand in this area, feel the area. Is it comfortable, not comfortable? Does it fit the body size? Okay? The things that we learned in ergonomics, and anything that we design have to fit the human. So sometimes we need to build models to check, is it comfortable, is it not comfortable? But the model for checking something, it does not have to be highly accurate. Okay, so there are different types of models. Okay. Now here we are talking about the material, cardboard, paper. If you are doing just a fast model to understand a shape, it is best to use a cheap material and a material that you can quickly cut, glue together without any complicated machines or expensive materials and so on. Okay? And as you can see, a lot of things you can make, scale models. Okay? But basically to understand the form, packaging for graphic designers, and also this is made out of paper and different types of cardboards. Okay? Now foam board, also called foam core. Okay, this means the same thing. So this is the material. You normally know about it by, as I showed you, for sticking posters on. But this material can be used for model making as well. It is more thick. Now they have different thicknesses. They have 2.5 millimeter, half centimeter, 1 centimeter, so different thicknesses of this material. And again, it depends what you are making, but it is stronger than paper. So they are used for architecture, for interiors, to build the walls, and then you design what is inside. So it is stronger than paper. It can stand, it is very high quality. So when you look at it, the finishing of it, we have white, we have black, of course, but the finishing gives you a very, very high quality of the look of the model. And of course, you can fold it like paper, but it is more difficult to fold if you want to fold a curve. So you have to put lines through it, cutting through the foam itself, and then bending it like this, or bending it the opposite side. So it really depends what you are doing, but it's very versatile. Depends on how you cut it, how you fold, how you bend. You can do a lot of very nice models with it. Here are more examples. This is foam board, okay? And as you can see, it can look very, very high quality. And depending on the thickness, you can cut details. These are very detailed models, okay? Very detailed representational. Here, interior, for example. Here, it is more simple. As you can see, it is not fully, the shape is not fully shown. But in general, we understand the size, we understand where is the location of the items. Here, it's even more simple. It's just a very fast model to give us an idea of the shape. So, when we say a one material, you can use it in many different ways in a model. Here, more foam board examples. You can build complete stands, and then you can, for example, display stands, okay? Packaging, anything of this type. And you can print. You can print, for example, certain logos, certain items, and glue it on the foam board, just like posters, okay? And it gives you a very realistic look to the model. Or you can build products with it. You can build items that are one-to-one scale and then check, does it fit with the human, the target group of people measurements? You know, is it comfortable for use? Is it fitting the human or not? So it can be used for many different purposes, this material. It's one of the very much used materials for model making. Paper, cardboard, and the foam board, okay? Now, polystyrene foam is very much used in model making too. These are polystyrene models. Now, this material comes usually in a blue color, okay? You will be using this as well. So, it comes usually in a blue color or a bit greenish color, okay? Initially, in its original form. There are white ones, but I haven't seen in Jordan any of these. So, this material, again, it has different purposes. You can use it for making a fast model just to understand the shape, or you can use it for more detailed models with all the details. It can give you a rough look, or if you use, do the details carefully and use sanding and then coloring, so painting it, with the sanding, it can give you a very, very high quality result. So it depends. Do you need high quality or you don't need high quality? So model making can be both, for just exploration drawing, exploration model, or high quality. So, but out of this material, you can make high quality model. You can. Sometimes machines are used, sometimes this is done completely freehand by cutting, sanding, and so on, all the parts. Of course, it starts like the material comes in big boards like this, and you have to have the orthographic multi-view drawings. Each view is drawn separately, so the top view, for example, drawn, then cut according to it, then the side view is placed here according to the correct size, correct scale, then it is cut, sanded, and so on. Sometimes this material is used again to explore the shape of something and the size. So if you notice here, this is like a toy for children, actually, this, okay? And here, a paper was stuck on top. You can have something out of foam, and if you want, this is for the screen. You don't need to actually make a realistic screen sometimes. Just print a paper, put on top the graphics to understand where is its shape, what is its size, and so on, okay? So there are many, many things that you can do combining even the different materials together. So this is foam with paper combined, okay? Clay is another type of material used, not as common as the paper and cardboard and the foam, but it is used also, and it has its uses. So the clay especially can create extremely high quality. The foam, you can create very high quality. The clay, extremely high quality. So the details can be carved and shaped exactly 100% high quality. As you can see, the corners, everything. And when this object is painted, it's usually spray painted with spray, okay? With a specific type of paints, it can create like a real product. Shiny, beautiful, high quality. Okay, so this is super here high quality stuff. So when you see the product, you cannot recognize, is this a real thing or a model? So with clay you can create extremely high quality. Or you can just use the clay for fast modeling to understand the shape. So I can make something a little bit fast without too much detail and just place my hand, see is it comfortable, does it have any problems with the shape, before you continue moving through the project to the final stages. So there is a lot of model making happening through a normal project. Different types of models, different materials used for different reasons. Okay? How are models made? Most of the models are made by hand. You make them by cutting, shaping, sanding, whatever. That's the most common way. However, sometimes some machines are used. It can be totally made by machine, or it can be some parts made by hand, some parts by machine, and then combined. Okay? So, we have what? Laser cutting, for example. The laser can cut certain surfaces, certain materials. So, this can create very intricate and detailed cuts that, if we want to cut it by hand using a hand saw, it will not be as clean and as detailed, especially if you have small details. Okay? Laser cutting is good. CNC cutting, very accurate method. It can be a bit expensive, not like the laser cutting. And CNC cutting used for 3D, like complicated 3D models. And this head of the machine can rotate. So for example, we have here the material. It rotates from the top, from the side, from all the direction, and carves the entire 3D model according to the CAD file. So you have a drawing done on AutoCAD, for example. The machine does what the AutoCAD drawing shows. Okay? And what material you place here. It can be wood, it can be a different kind of material, foam. Okay? So, there are different machines. We have also 3D printers. Okay? What is a 3D printer? It's like the printer that we print on paper, but here it prints the model. So it uses different color materials, depends on what you place inside of it. And again, you have a file on a computer such as CAD, okay, such as AutoCAD. And what it sees on AutoCAD, the machine interprets and prints the model out of the material put in the machine. So this is very nice thing. Okay? So you have a file on the computer and you need to see it. Okay, I can see it on the computer, but I can't touch it. I can't feel it. So you just press print, go to the printer, it prints me a model. Okay? The problem with this is it's a bit expensive for now. Like if you buy this material for the printing, it's a bit expensive. That's its drawback. But we have this in Jordan, you know, all these machines. If you need them in future, they're available. As I said, some of them can be a little expensive. That's the problem. So, model making can be done. Of course, there is many other ways, but these are the most common ones that can be used. Now, let's see the types of models. Okay? Models will be made for different reasons, as we said. Not all models are the same. Some models, every model have a reason for making it, okay? So this is very important to understand. What is the reason? So we can choose the correct materials, the correct type of model. Do I need a very high quality model? Or can I get away with a low quality model? Okay? So we will see the difference between them. Also, the finishing of the models can be different. For example, it can be a totally white model. Like the real product maybe have a lot of colors, but the model only white. The reason is, for example, just to understand the shape. So no need to waste money for coloring, extra time and extra money. If we just need to understand the shape, no need for it to be colored, for example. Okay? Sometimes highlights of color are used. So it's mainly white, but some areas are colored for specific reason to highlight them, to show their importance. Okay? Let's see if this is actually... Yes. So, like our object, it's going to be mainly white, but we have some red areas. Okay? So these are highlighted areas. Okay? Just. Or the model can be fully colored, like representing like the real designed object. Okay? But this takes more time, more effort, more money. Okay? So sometimes you need to decide, do I need it or I don't need it? Okay? Sketch models. Now we have three different major types of models. One of them is sketch model. This is to what? Show an idea in 3D quickly. You always do sketch model by hand. There is no machines involved here because any machine you involve, it becomes more expensive. And this is, its purpose is a sketch. A sketch in 3D. You see sketch model. So it's a sketch like you sketch on paper, but this is a sketch on 3D. So, this is for understanding the shape of something. Sometimes when you sketch something on paper, maybe your skills in sketching are not good enough, maybe the drawing, even if the best drawing, the best sketch, okay? You look at it on the paper, you cannot touch it. You cannot understand its form. So I cannot touch the object. I cannot touch it, okay? I cannot touch it. But when I have it in 3D, oh, I can see, does it fit into my hand? Is there a problem? I can rotate it very easily. So, sketch model is a very fast type of model, usually done from cheap materials and done in a fast way. The quality here is not important. So look at this chair, for example. Even you can see the tape put everywhere. The material is very, it's not the most beautiful material to use, but what we understand the shape. And it's built in the real size, 1-to-1 scale, so you can even test it, you can try to sit on it, you know, how does it feel? So, this is the purpose of the sketch model. Sometimes, so different materials, that is cardboard, this is here foam, used with a paper maybe here placed. This is to test, for example, okay, this is the real size, is it comfortable, does it have certain problems, and so on. The level of detail, as we said, is limited in a sketch model. So you don't make every detail, spend a lot of time on it. No, it is general, just the general form, okay? The general idea. So, these models, as I said, you can use them for basic tests. Testing if it fits the ergonomics of the human body, tests its shape, is it comfortable, not comfortable, the size, anything wrong. So, these type of models are usually in a project done after the sketching phase. So, for example, you sketch an idea. Okay, my sketch is not very clear. Let me build quickly a model to see how it feels, how it looks. The quality not important at this stage. Cheap materials used. Then, if I like the idea, I can take it next stage to the engineering drawing. Now I can draw, if I have this, now I can draw a more detailed engineering drawing. After that, I can build a more detailed model, high quality model, and so on. So, different stages of the project, you use different type of models. Excuse me, who's talking? Okay? So, sketch models, here you use cheap materials, material that you can form by hand very easily, and so on. In the sketch models, usually many models are needed. It's like I'm sketching an idea, I want to see it, I build it. I sketch, I don't like it. I sketch another idea, I build it again. So we end up with a lot of models for the same idea. And then we can select the best one. So you can, in the project, look at this, touch it, feel it, look at its shape. Which is the best model according to the criteria, and select the best one. The best one, then you can take it and draw the engineering drawings, detailed drawings, and so on, and continue the process. So, sketch models a lot, usually you see small models built, or the real size, but out of cheap materials. Now, another type of model is the presentation model. This is for presenting a final idea. So, the idea is already selected, we selected the best sketch models, then a final presentation model is made. So here, this model needs to be done extremely high quality, details, colors, everything has to be done perfectly, because this has to present the real object, the real design, the final, okay? So when you look at this car, for example, you think it's a real car, but it is actually a small model. Okay? When you look at these tools, you think they are real tools, but if you touch them, maybe they easily break, maybe they're made out of foam. So they are foam actually inside, but colored and detailed in a way made with details that look extremely realistic. This is usually clay. So inside here, of this model, you will find foam inside, on top of it clay, and then the clay is very carefully cut and made, and then the perfection with the color on top. Okay? So, but it looks realistic. So these are presentation models, okay? For final things. Look at these presentation models. Interiors, okay? Products, everything. So, it gives you a very realistic idea of what the design is. And you will be making such models, not in this class, but in future classes. Especially your graduation project will involve a presentation model. Now, if your interior design, it will be looking something of this type. Now, what materials to use here, it depends on what is the design, and it depends what materials give you the best quality look of it. Okay? So, if it's a product, okay, again, I can use foam, I can use clay, but the final result needs to be excellent. Excellent in the finishing. Okay? Prototype models. This is the third type. The third general type. Prototypes are usually specific type of models that are used for functional testing. Now, you must differentiate it from presentation models. Presentation models can be made from a variety of materials, and the final result must look real, like the real design, but it's not functional. Here, a real functional prototype is made. It's like, this is my design, and before producing it, distributing it to the people, to the users, I built a functional prototype. So this product functions, not only looks like the real one, but functions like the real one. Why? They are made for testing. So there are some products that are very complicated. So they need a prototype made, functional prototype, to test. Does it really function the way I think it functions or not, okay? So it needs to be tested very carefully. But they can be expensive, very expensive. Now it depends on what level prototype you're making. Some can be extremely expensive, and some can be a little cheaper. Like here, these are all prototypes. Now, notice the difference. This is here a very simple materials used out of foam. It is a prototype. This is a prototype. It's not a real final product. It is done only to test a specific thing. Now, testing does not mean you have to build the entire product fully. No, it can be part of it. This part I need to test it, I build it. This is a prototype. It's a functional prototype, okay? But more simple than the ones we see. Prototype can be also, again, to test something. Does this, for example, object fit the user? So it can be made out of more simple materials. It needs to look close to the final product so that the user can understand everything, use it as if it's a final product, but it doesn't always have to be fully functional. These are also prototypes. So everything you call, any model, you call this is for testing, you can name it a prototype. So prototypes are, you test something with this model, either the function, either the human-machine use. So some prototypes can be extremely realistic, like a final product, and some can be a little more simple, you know, just to test something. So prototypes can be different levels, as I said. The more the function is shown in the model and the functions are like the real product, real materials are used, it becomes super expensive, okay? So these, or you can use cheaper materials like foam core, cardboard, paper, this kind of stuff to make prototypes out of cheaper material to test something. So here, prototypes. Look at this vacuum cleaner. What is it made of? Cardboard. These are layers of cardboard. It's built to the real scale 1:1 so that it can be a little bit tested if it fits the user. Not the machine inside, okay? But does it fit the user? Is it comfortable? The size, the shape of it, okay? A functional prototype means I have to also build what's inside, the machinery, everything like a real vacuum cleaner, okay? Which can be expensive. So, presentational models, as we said before, can be, or functional, let's say, presentational model, where you have something in the end that looks very close to the original product, it can be a presentation model. If it functions also, okay, so interior build, everything as it is, the real product, it is a prototype, okay? Now, presentational models can be made so detailed that it looks like a totally real product. So it can be made out of, this is for example what? The foam. Okay, it's developed until it reaches the final, you know, shape. Or out of clay, or out of, so the starting material can be something, the end result can look extremely realistic. Or left simple, if it's just for shape testing. Here more, these are, you know, prototypes again for testing something specific. Here you can build something that looks very real, but starting with clay. Okay, the end result can be super, look like the real product. Or if it's a functional prototype, the interior has to be also made functional totally, okay, as the real product. Functional prototypes, if they function, they're functional prototypes. If they just look like the final product, we can call them presentation models, okay? So it depends on what it is. Now, let me see if I have some space here. I have some space. This is from last class. I explained this, the exploded view. I will not delete it, but because what I explain now is very simple. Now, the first model that you will be making for this object, now we have two models. One will be made out of paper, the other out of foam, the blue foam that we see here. I will show you the material and explain more detail next class about the foam. Today is the paper model. What paper model we will make and what kind of paper, okay, to use. We are building the section. So, you are building half of the model. So, this object not complete. where is the section line in the middle? You just build half of it, okay? Why half of it? Because we need to see the what's going on inside. So these openings, everything you need to draw on the model. So for example, if we take this, the different parts, each part needs to be made on its own, drawn on paper as a 2D flat surface. So for example, like this, if I take one of these parts, for example, it could be look like this. For example, okay, more simplified, of course, than the real one. So, with the correct size, after you finish your orthographic drawing, you take the sizes, you place on the paper, and of course with the details, because we have here, you know, it's not totally straight, you need to be careful with these details. Now, this is the full, for example, but actually we need half of it, so for example, this will be shorter. Half of it, okay? So if we need half of it, okay? Now, on one of these sides, so when you take this object and you cut it and you fold it, okay? Similar to these cubes what you have been doing in the past, but now it's of a specific size, okay? So after you fold it, in one of the sides, so for example, from one of the sides in the section, we will see the section, like here, for example, you need to draw it. So on the paper, you need to draw, for example, if it's here, I draw it here. And I need to hatch it. So I draw it here, I hatch it here, then I cut it. Be careful where you draw it, okay? Because when you fold it together, it needs to fit. And then the next object here, the next object, every object you build on its own. Like in the section, you draw the section according to its correct size. This model, you will build 1-to-1 scale. Scale 1-to-1. This is 1-to-2 that you are drawing, so half its size. This one, we want the real size, okay? So, what we have measurements there, you draw this on the paper, you cut it. The section is 0.5, okay, from here and from here. So you draw all this detail on the paper before you fold it and glue it. Now, we will use Fabriano paper. Fabriano, the white Fabriano paper. Not this paper. It's too thin, okay? It will not work nicely. So the Fabriano has enough thickness for this to work. So, this model will be entirely white out of Fabriano, except these parts, which are red. So, half of the model you will make, and these red parts must be red on your model. So, you need to buy a red cardboard. So, white Fabriano and red cardboard of the same thickness, okay? Not to be too thin like paper. This is too thin, okay? Of the same thickness like Fabriano, so that it can hold strong. So the red part's red, the white part's white, okay? Two type of papers you need, and that's it for the first model. So you're making half of it, and you show me the section. This area will stay white, just very easy. So, any questions? Now please notice, this model, again, it is very easy actually, very easy model, but the quality of your cutting and gluing, and of course the measurements have to be perfect. Any mistake in this area, it will affect the mark of the model, okay? So pay very much attention of what you draw on the paper, what you cut, everything must be perfect. Now, the details of this, this is basically what we need. it's inside the worksheet. It is also explained. It's very easy module. The foam module, next class that I will explain, have more details. So I will leave it for its own class explanation. Any question about the paper model? So we are basically not drawing the whole object, only half of it. We are making only half of it to see the section cut, okay, according the section line. And these type of models, just to give you an idea, they are made often in design, so that people don't waste their time to do a whole model. They do half a model, and then they can put a mirror. They can put a mirror here, put the model next to the mirror, and everybody can see it, what it will look like as a full model. It is made sometimes like that, to save money on the material, the time, and so on. Okay? Our purpose is to show the section. That's it. Okay? You understand, but 90% of the class not understand. Okay? I know some of you understand, but you know, we still...